Yo, still mother effing cold here, but I'm gonna come into my thinking chair anyway. I came to the realization the other day when I did that post about needing to follow my joy, and in my private practice, I just wasn't feeling it for certain aspects of my job. And I run my practice, so I can pretty much do what I need to do. But it came to me a few days later that the real issue was energetic. And I was really not feeling aligned with doing neurodiversity assessments in particular. And I thought it was because I hated the report writing. But as I sat with it for a few days, meditated on it, I realized what the real issue was. It wasn't that I didn't like to do the reports. I like to write. I do write articles on neurodiversity. But the thing is, I have known as a nurse for a long time, especially in the consciousness journey, that our words and our thoughts are so incredibly powerful. And I know that diagnosis has the capability of changing people very, very dramatically, and not in a good way. I don't believe neurodiversity should have ever been anything that needed to be diagnosed. So I came to that realization. That was kind of a big deal. That's why I don't want to do these assessments. I do not want to try to figure out a way to say this delicately and precisely, because I do not want to provide a diagnosis that is going to further energetically send someone in further decline in their lives. Because the truth is, with any kind of diagnosis, we start to live it. If you are thinking that you are sick, we know this in the spiritual and consciousness world, that if you feel like you're sick, you will 100% become sick. If someone diagnoses you with anything, mental health, physical health, you start to live that energy. And I've seen this happen in family members very significantly. I had a family member who was diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer, and the minute she got the diagnosis, it was a very steep decline. And that was caused by her thought process, because after about 6 months, she realized she wasn't going anywhere. She lived an incredibly healthy another 3 years. The same goes towards my feeling about neurodiversity assessments and diagnosis. There isn't, in my opinion, and this is my opinion only, and I live the reality that my neurodiversity is a superpower, is an amazing part of my life, and it really is, because I have created that in me. And everybody is capable of achieving that. I just wanted to put that together for someone, if there's anyone else on this spiritual awakening journey who's working in healthcare, who's not feeling aligned with diagnosis anymore. That might be what you're energetically feeling and you just didn't have words for it yet. I don't know. Suggestions. I'm just some lady on the internet. What do I know? But what I do know is I do know my truth. And my truth is coming straight from source. And that really is a difficult concept for a lot of people to understand. But unless you're going through it, you aren't going to understand it. But that's why it is so incredibly hard and scary to speak your truth when there's no scientific evidence to validate it, because this is very new information that we're having to shift. That's why we had to go through so much shadow work to become incredibly strong emotionally to handle the backlash that was about to come. And there's going to be backlash. There's going to be people who do not agree with me, who want to live their diagnosis, who want to live in pain and agony and suffering. And that is not for me to decide for them. I wish for it so much that they can see neurodiversity the way I do, but I am here to support those that can potentially see it, because this is the awakening crew too, and that is why I'm here. I do feel very strongly that I am here to help the healers, to heal. And we start with us so that we can then become a very good healer for others. And by healing, I don't mean that you have to go and physically do anything. You just literally have to come into your authentic self and shine your authentic light bright so that everyone else can do the same thing. It can be that simple. Life can be that simple. So I just thought that was a really fascinating revelation. You know, when you chat with your guides and you're quiet enough, see the whole world, we have purposefully are not staying in silence long enough to even hear our thoughts, to even hear our guidance. Well, this is why we want to try to learn to be in silence every now and then. You know, I used to be incredibly fearful of silence too. Back in my early neurodivergent days where I thought there was a problem. I'm like, I can't do this. My mind's racing constantly. But your mind is meant to have an internal dialogue. There's a purpose for that too. That's how you receive your guidance. So without that dialogue, you aren't able to connect as well. So if you can think about it from that perspective. Anyway, I'm getting on to babble territory and ramble. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. Take care, guys.